Welcome to Shop Talk. Jesus was an amazing teacher. Something he was fantastic at was relating lessons he taught to things that made sense to the people at the time. It could have been related to the culture of the time or something that the people have been going through. So I thought I would take a shot at doing my own version of a parable with something a little more modern. If you've listened to the podcast before I started on YouTube, you will have heard this parable before. So here it goes. It's the parable of the camper. Now, my wife and I, we enjoy camping. Now, there is some debate on what actually constitutes camping. The kind I'm talking about isn't tent camping, but I wouldn't call it glamping either. So, anyways, a few years ago, I decided to buy a fixer upper fifth wheel. Now, I say I bought it because, well, my wife wasn't very sure that we should get it. But I was convinced that I could fix it up and make a cheap camper worth it. So, there was no doubt that it needed work right from the beginning, right from the moment we bought it. Okay, the moment I bought it. The first year we just camped in it, and despite it needing some fixes, it worked out okay. But the next year, I decided I would do what I said I would do and fix the camper up. I honestly didn't think it would be too awful to fix. Looking at it from the surface, it looked pretty minor. So I began to rip out the carpet, and mind you, this is original carpet from the 90s. It may have looked fairly clean, but I can promise you it was not. So, what did I find underneath? Well, I found rot. Lots and lots of rot. Now, was faced with a choice. I could say there's nothing of worth left here, no value, cut my losses, and first of all, admit my wife was right. Or I could stick to what I said and was going to do and fix it. It would cost some money, bloody knuckles, and lots of time. So that's what I did. I replaced the subfloor in the front of the slide and in front of the door, as well as the actual framing underneath. When I was done, it looked almost like a new camper, at least on the inside. Isn't that like what God does with us? He peels back that surface and he finds all our rot and sin underneath. And he's faced with a choice. Cut his losses, say that we're worthless, and start over, throw us away. Or say that he still sees value in us, that we are priceless, and though it's going to cost him everything, he's going to fix us, redeem us. And that's what he chose when he sent Jesus to take on our sin and die on the cross. And while that camper doesn't look new on the outside, there's no doubt when you step into it that it has been changed. Just like us, on our outside shell, it's still the same as before, but the heart has been made new. That camper will still have setbacks, some small, like a check valve that leaks, and some big, like a hydraulic hose that blows. And yes, both those happened after I fixed the floor. But that also is like us in our walk with Christ. We will still make mistakes and sin. Sometimes they're minor sins, and sometimes they're major sins, but Jesus covered them all on that cross. And that, my friends, is the parable of the camper. Now, clearly, I'm nowhere near as good as Jesus at telling a parable. Nobody ever will be. I'm sure it was amazing to hear him teach, but hopefully this parable made sense to you. I would love to hear your feedback, and more importantly, if there is any part of this message that you like or you feel you know someone who needs to hear it, share it. That can be on a platform or simply in a conversation. Make it your own. I certainly don't need any credit. It's all about spreading his good news anyways. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. I won't ask every episode, just now and then. Thanks so much for watching. As always, stay salty and be kind, my friends.